Yeah. So Destiny. Did we talk
Destiny.
about that? Not really.
Not really. Let's talk about
Let's
Destiny.
talk about, if you don't mind, a little bit about. I'm still interested. I asked you a little bit earlier about the maps. What is it
Yes.
that kind of let you down about the maps? Now I know because of your video, which will be in the description. But tell me a bit about what you felt about those maps, because I kind of wanted to a little bit more from you about how did the maps feel to play, which is that what you used to call, I guess, and a lot of people have as well. I don't know. I hate using the phrase, but that X factor, what makes it feel like a good map? What has, I call it game flow, if you will. Good
Yeah,
spawn
well,
points, those kinds of things.
you can have good game flow without actually having that X factor. If I see something in a map, it doesn't matter what the game is, and I think that is an object that's been put there purely to provide cover for me.
Yeah.
It's actually takes me away from the immersion of the game. So,
Yeah.
let's say, for example, that we're playing Red Dead Redemption, the classic Western game, right?
Yes.
And we're in a gunfight in the OK Corral scenario, right? And in the middle of this street at high noon, there's a fence crossing the street. It has no reason to be there. It wouldn't be there in real life. It would hit such a jarring note that even though it did the job of providing cover, it would take
okay.
you away from the immersion. But if there was instead an overturned cart,
Right.
that's quite naturally would be there.
Yeah.
And it feels right, and you wouldn't even notice that it was there. You would think,
Or
oh, yeah, there's
even
some
better,
cover.
if there was a prompt to overturn the cart.
Yeah, but can you see what I'm saying, though? That within the logic of that game world, it
Yeah.
fits. Now, on the Destiny beta, we've only had three maps. Well, there was a fourth that was available just for a couple of hours, but I only played three of the maps. And on one of them, the one that's actually in the video, there's a capture point, which has sort of two access routes. One where you've got to jump over it, and another you've got to come through this little walkway. But then there's a third access route, and there's this big sort of island that is nothing more than a stepping stone. It has nothing on it. It looks out of place, and it looks like it's just been put there, that the designer said, oh, we need another route into here. And they've just put this, all right, we'll put a big fucking stepping stone there. It looks like it took them 2 minutes to think up the solution rather than put some thought into it and make it that what would look like either a natural land formation or a natural deformation of a building that had once been there. They just stuck this fucking circle of land there. It's a totally unnatural formation, and it's just been put there purely to provide what you say is like game flow.
Yeah.
And you need both of these elements. You need the game flow, but the world has to make some kind of sense.
Right.
And it doesn't.
Huh.
Like what I mentioned this as well, is that one of the maps is on the moon, and you have these pretty cool looking stations. You're not quite sure what they were, but they're kind of some stations on the moon, and everything's all broken and everything. But these vehicles still keep respawning in there.
Oh.
And it's like there's no machinery around there that is still working. They could have easily put some like machinery that was still working around the outside of the destroyed buildings, but there's not. And it's just, I guess a lot of people aren't going to look for that level of detail, maybe.
Right.
But I think subconsciously people see it. That they're not thinking about it, but things provide a jarring note. It's like hearing like a wrong note in a song. If that note is low, you might not actually detect it on a conscious level, but you will know there's some kind of disharmony going on.
Yeah, I haven't played a game with vehicles in it for a long time. I don't know that I've ever seen a game where it's like, all right, here is a manufactured vehicle, or here is a vehicle coming out of a factory, or, something that would make any kind of, or like a vehicle being dropped, maybe. That would be the most logical, because they're not going to build them on the spot. But
No.
I think most vehicles like Borderlands, you just go to the station, open it, turn it on, and out comes a vehicle. But at least you have to interact, I guess, with that interface. I don't know. I guess maybe that's just something that you need to suspend your belief on, which is like, we need to generate these quickly without breaking the flow of the game as far as the pace is concerned.
Yeah, I'm kind of reluctant to highlight that particular issue because I think a lot of people will say, "Look, you're being a dick. Vehicles spawn there for gameplay. Get over it." And I think there's a certain amount of rightness in that.
Yeah.
But certainly when it comes to the maps, if if the playing area that you are playing in is kind of believable,
Right.
you just forget it.
And
You don't think about it anymore. You just get
here's
drawn
the thing
into it.
that I wondered about when I was watching your stuff and hearing you now is, do you think that has anything to do with the budget, the fact that I would consider that game a AAA title, the history and experience of that developer, which is it's Bungie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Halo history, big
Yeah.
history with game,
Yeah.
online gameplay, map building.
Yeah.
I've listened to the people that worked on Halo maps in the past. I've listened to 3 of the developers talk before about how they took a lot of attention in building these maps out, and maybe adding in little, pieces of of other maps that kind of tie them together. And here's a tornado off in the distance or something like that. And it just, they really go into depth about the maps. And I'm like, now, to me, I never really played Halo except for the very, very first one on PC, which I think it was an Xbox, but I played the PC version. I loved it. And I played some multiplayer, and I thought the multiplayer maps were just really bland as shit. But that was way back in the day. Do you think that maybe a lot of that comes from you expecting them to have stepped up and done all of this additional work because they have the resources, they have the experience, they have the manpower,
I don't think it's that I'm expecting them to improve what is necessarily improve and better what is already out there in different multiplayer games, or even single player games for that matter. But I expect them to at least equal it.
Ah, I see.
I mean, like, as you know, I'm part of a Far Cry 4 mapping community.
Yes.
And forgetting what I've done on maps, I'd say that some of those guys who make maps as a hobby for Far Cry 4, Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 2 would have been able to produce much, much better, more playable maps.
Interesting.
And it's like, yeah, Bungie, you should have done better. And, and I know this is a beta, but they're also, it's a beta that is being used as a promotional tool. And I would imagine that they'll be, if not showing us the best that they have to offer, they certainly don't want to show us the worst. And if that's not the worst of the maps that they have to offer, what else is around the corner? It doesn't look good in my eyes.
Do you think that some of your, well, I can't say that, do you think? I think that some of what you're looking at with Destiny is probably being compared to your recent experience, and if you're still not playing it, but just your recent experience with Titanfall. Like, how do you feel those maps were and that gameplay was?
It's Titanfall. Personally, I would say looks like 100 times better.
Ah.
But again, there's a bit of an unfair comparison because Titanfall is a fairly small scale game. Although the maps are a lot bigger than the maps on the player-to-player combat in Destiny, but it's a much sort of smaller scale game. It's not trying to cover the same vast swathes of land that Destiny is, but.
I don't know why I feel like I'm giving Bungie a hard time, but maybe it's because they're such a big developer and because they have such a good history that I feel like you should be harder on them. Because
I think
you're saying these words and I'm like, no, bullshit. Because I know big developers, they do what a lot of I work for a small, web development company. We break up what we work on based on what needs to be worked on. So multiplayer would be in multiplayer maps. That would be one team. The normal gameplay would be another team.
Exactly.
Player animations would be another. That kind of stuff. It all ties together. That's based off of the project leads or whatever it is.
With the budget that's gone into this, they'll have had huge resources. For people designing these maps. And, they'll have been play tested extensively before they get to this alpha and beta stages that we've seen, which are not alpha and beta, and that's another thing that boils my piss. They are demos. A beta of a game is not released like a month before it goes gold,
No, they've definitely changed the definition, or they're just usurping the word and just throwing it on top of a demo. Because a true beta is not what we're seeing now. Like, Warframe's not a fucking beta. Well, actually, with update 14, it just might well be a beta again. It is so buggy, man.
But
Right now,
I mean,
so buggy.
it's kind of like, if you follow your top sports team, you expect them not just for the players to be sort of fit, and you expect them to have strategies,
Right.
to have done their research, and to have done their study into their craft,
True.
to not just all charge towards the enemy's goal, but you'd expect them to have some strategy about it, and to put some time into it, and you'd expect a lot more out of them than you'd expect your local Sunday pub team
Right,
who were
right.
doing it as a hobby. And Bungie are probably one of the biggest developers in the world, and this is certainly one of the biggest budgeted games in the world.
Yeah.
And the multiplayer maps that I've seen, out of the three of them, one was bad and flat and insipid. The other is kind of okay, and fairly enjoyable, but has a lot of balance issues.
Yeah.
And the one that I did on that video is just downright ugly and horrible. And even like games that were released on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 look better than this.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to go back and look at some more of the different maps, and I know that any of the gameplay I've seen, I haven't been particularly impressed with any of the visuals. And maybe that's their way of trying to scale back the processing power required. That way they can help balance out, net connection type stuff. Like, okay, they can focus on other things if they're not focusing on having to process graphics. I have no fucking idea how that shit works. But that's my assumption, at least, and very uneducated assumption.
Ultimately, with Destiny, some people are going to enjoy it, and some people are going to be the whole fanboy thing about it. There's going to be that post-decisional rationalization.
Yeah.
Well, I bought the game, therefore, I don't make bad judgments, so I must have made a good judgment. Therefore, the game is fantastic. Right. And there's going to be people like that. But I suspect that an awful lot of people are going to be very disappointed when Destiny's been out for a while. That they're going to see it as being really quite empty and desolate, and it's nothing that's going to really draw them into the world. And for the amount of money that's been spent on it, I think that's pretty bad.
Yeah, what price point is that? That's probably going to be like a $60 game, right?
Yeah. Sorry, when I said about the money that's been spent on it, I meant from a more development side.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, and that's not going to be... it's weird because I've seen that description of it being kind of like an MMO, but they're not going to have a monthly subscription. I'm assuming they're going to have some DLC because this is the game that they said they want to last for, like 10 years?
Yeah, they're looking at a decade of life for this game.
Yeah. My only assumption from that would be, okay, what's going to be an MMO then, right?
I tell you what, unless they release some major update to it, I bet my left testicle that no one is playing it in 10 months, never mind 10 years. Unless they do something massive and major.
Wouldn't that be something, right? If they put out a beta and it was kind of lackluster, and then, during launch, they pulled back the veiled curtain or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, it's so much better than it was. I would like to see that happen for once.
Maybe they will, and I'll have to eat my words. It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, well...
Actually, somebody, and this is somebody I know and I play with, and I've known for a long time, had kind of said something along the lines about me putting out the video being like clickbait, like as if I was deliberately kind of stir up controversy by saying this game's a bit underwhelming, actually. And it's not me. I had the game pre-ordered. I wanted it to be good. I didn't want it to fail. I wanted this to be a good game.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be. Deal with it.
You mean you didn't plan a pre-order to cancel it in order to make a video that was going to be clickbait?
That would be.
You're clearly not thinking like a businessman. What? You need to work on your marketing strategies.
I do, sir.
Just kidding. Unlike me, where I'm like, I pre-ordered Dead Space 3 as well, and I think I've opened it up and kind of played with it on Twitch a little bit, testing, but never actually committed to playing it. Yeah.
That's
terrible.
Like
I heard the game was bad anyway, so I'm glad I didn't play it. But then
Dead Space 3?
Dead Space 3? Yeah, I heard it was not great.
Again, talking about like demos that put you off, I played the demo and I thought it was okay, but not enough to play it all the way through.
Yeah.
I get a bit bored of single player on games for any extensive period of time.
Yeah.
I like multiplayer. Although Dead Space 3 did have co-op. I can't remember if there was
It did.
something else out at the time that made me. But I wasn't convinced to get
Dead
it.
Space 3 also had a built-in store, kind of like what Warframe has. But at the time, it was like, what in the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah, it's like, wow, no, that's not going to be acceptable.
I
And
think I think what developers, again, to be more accurate, what publishers have to realize is, as gamers, the overwhelming majority of us have no problems in supporting something that we think is good value for money. We have no problems with it at all. But we don't want to be nickel and dimed. We don't want to be treated like we're fucking idiots that are just going to lap up anything.
whew, yeah, there's a couple of things in this update 14 for Warframe, and I'm going to speak mostly. Any of my current perspective is based off of Warframe because I play it a lot still.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's something wrong with me, you know. But
Yeah.
they put out these dogs, Kubro, and one of the things that they actually retracted this option, but you could pay 10 plat to scramble the color and fur type of your dog. Now, it would basically randomly spit out different colors and fur texture if you paid 10 platinum. And so I went on the forums and because after playing it, I never go on the forums and read before I play something. And I'm playing, I was playing through Update 14 when it initially launched, and people were pinging me in the game about like, "Hey, what do you think?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I've played like an hour. I can't really give you a judgment on this. You know what am I? That's not fair. They've put months of time into this update. They've put so much work into it. It's a massive update. How can I just say, it's shit? Why would I want to do that? That's a popular thing to do, and I'm not here to shit on things. Well, if it's bad, I'll totally call them out on it. But
Yeah.
I played it and I got the experience, and I was like, I jumped on the forums and I saw a thread talking about the fur, and I was like, this is, I don't recommend that people ever curse at developers, and I'm not recommending it now. But when I see bullshit, I call it. And paying 10 platinum for randomly generated color and fur texture of an animal that you spend you spend so many hours, like multiple days, trying to get this damn dog. And you still there's like update, credit based maintenance on it, which is cool because it's credit based. You can at least farm for that shit. But when you can color your Warframe, based on color packs that you buy, and you can you can control that, why should you have to randomly, take a spin at what your dog's going to look like? Why not give us the option of either applying those color packs that we've already purchased or sell us new ones, But don't fucking do this Wheel of Fortune bullshit where I don't know where it's going to land. You might get dark colored fur with this. You might get this other one. That is that is a pure ripoff.
See, that was one of the things that put me off Warframe, though, is that whole nickel and dime thing.
Oh yeah, well that's part of it. Okay, guess what? So I got on, and I'd like to say because of my response to a post that they pulled that out. They pulled it out in the next update, like the very next day. I'm like, that's right. That's you guys listen to me. I feel great. I'll tell you what about update 14. They put out at least 7, I think maybe even 8 updates. I know 7 updates for sure. Hot fixes day after day. They were just fixing bugs left and right. If I put out the list of bugs that they fixed, it would just be enormous.
Oh, I've seen them. I've seen the fixed list that they do, and I definitely get the feeling with the Warframe developers. I've forgotten the name of the company now. What do they call themselves?
Extremes.
Yeah, Digital Extremes.
Yeah.
Is that they're hardworking guys working on a labor of love. I have absolutely no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt.
Yeah.
But when I sit down to play a game, I don't want to have to think. I've got money problems. And I don't want to have something thrown in my face that makes me think, should I get this? Should I not? Should I get this? Because it'll eat away at me. Even if it is only a little thing that makes my character look more pretty, it'll still kind of like eat away at me. And I don't want that when I sit down to play a game and forget all my troubles.
I know. Okay, so that dog, the recoloring the fur, it's a stupid thing. First off, I thought that the whole Kubero dog thing, I was like, it's a bunch of crap. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to play with that crap. Whatever. I don't need a damn dog. I've got a dog in real life. I don't need one in the game. It's already enough, maintenance in real life. And so the thing comes out, and I'm like, yes, I have a dog. It's amazing. I love my dog. Stay with me, dog. And I am just like, protecting him, and no, damn Grenier, stay away from my dog, and all kinds of, and I'm totally invested in this dog. And then, then I'm like, all right, let me dress up my dog, because that's what I do apparently now. That's apparently now what I do is I'm playing Barbie with the dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I see that option, pay 10 plat, take a spin at the fucking roulette wheel. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. And the next part is you can put your dog in stasis, right? And why you would do that is because if you keep them out, they need to eat apparently. Whatever. Suspend your disbelief or just buy into it, whatever. It's credits. You can farm credits to feed them. I don't give a shit. It's not plat,
Yeah.
So you can work on that. So you keep your dog's health up or whatever, and if you're going to be gone or whatever, you throw them in stasis.
Sorry, just to interrupt you. I'd love to have, I don't know if there's a visual difference if you don't feed your dog, but I'd love to have this sack of skin and bones following me around, dragging himself along the floor, like eating up the corpses of the people that I've killed.
He just lays down in the beginning of the mission. I'm just gonna hang out here.
Yeah, kind of wheezing along, like that little, that dog that the old pervert has on Family Guy.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They don't have any visual changes. It would be interesting, but they don't. I don't know about that extreme, but it would be interesting, that's for sure.
It would be funny to have this sort of, let's say, this bag of skin and bones following you around.
They have a couple of factors. One of them is you have to keep their health up. The other is you have to keep their loyalty up. Basically, by getting them killed, they kind of lose loyalty with you. I can kind of understand, if I was constantly being dragged into things and getting killed because somebody didn't realize it couldn't handle that area, I'd probably be a little pissed too. But that's buying into the game. Listen to how I'm talking about it. I'm buying into that whole experience.
Yeah.
So then they break it with this random bullshit.
Yeah.
But another thing is the stasis thing. Okay, so you could throw your dog in stasis, basically like putting him in a kennel, while you're away from town. And then you come back, and apparently it takes 3 hours to get him out of stasis. First off, bullshit. Why would it take 3 hours to digitally remove him from something? That's bullshit. Number two, you can rush it for 10 plat.
Yes. That's
exactly why they put that in there. And that is the only reason why they put that 3 hour wait. And I've read on the forum some fucking retards, and I, excuse that, but that's how passionately I feel about it. I've seen people defend it.
Yeah.
There's a difference between buying into something in a game because it makes you feel a certain way because that's part of the experience. But when you're so bought into it that you're making excuses, that's definitely fanboyism. But to the extreme, where they're like, well, if you got out of stasis, you'd probably want a little bit of time to, get back. No, fuck you. No.
Yeah, well...
No.
Right, just say that was the case, that you'd need a few hours after coming out of status. How do they then equate it with being able to rush it for 10 platinum?
Yeah, exactly. That's
so it doesn't fit. And all that would make, if I was sitting here with the game in front of me and I saw that, I would actually just think, oh, fuck you, I've had enough. I really have had enough.
Absolutely. I don't want to put my dog in stasis because of that. Once again, going back to the whole casual gamer, I've got an hour to play at night. If I put my dog in stasis, I'm not going to be able to use him until the weekend when I have more than 1 hour.
Yeah.
Or I take him out of stasis one night, and I can use him the next night.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Jesus Christ. That is such a bullshit. I'm glad they pulled the whole RNG, color scrambler thing, but they need to pull that too. They're not going to do it, though.
No, they're not, because it's a microeconomy. That platinum, they have to have platinum sinks in there as well as money sinks.
Yeah, I think they're definitely pushing it with that. There's plenty of other ways that they've been able to, get platinum from players, and I have no problem with that. With it, skin packs, color packs, whatever it is.
But pretty much all the platinum that exists in the game has been bought by players. I know when you start off, you get 50 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But pretty much, I mean, even though you might have attained your platinum from somebody who's bought some cards off you.
Right. Somebody had to purchase it.
So somewhere along the line, somebody had to purchase it. and it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. It's not good. It shows a disdain for the customer, for a disdain for the fans. It really does to me,
Yeah,
But
I don't know about Platinum in general being a bad issue. I think that it has its issues with trade and how that affects the trade economy, obviously, but that's too much for me to bother with right now.
yeah.
But the little things like just that is definitely, there was a long time ago we were talking about paywalls, and I'm like, well, it's like a patience wall, but that is definitely, in my opinion, more than something that is a thing in the game that can definitely affect your performance. It's a secondary, like, little pet or whatever. They don't do that with Sentinels. You don't have a period of, downtime between switching out your Sentinel. They're doing it specifically because I think the psychology behind it is you can grow an attachment to a dog because there's a lot of character in that animation.
Well, it's the whole Tamagotchi thing, isn't it?
It is. They've definitely put a lot of character into the animal. And the sounds of a real
Shit,
animal.
man! Like, stop saying that because you'll make me want to go and play it just so I
scary,
can play
man.
with
Like
it.
I said, I didn't even give a shit. I was like, this is bullshit. I know the business model. I know what's going on here. I'm not gonna give a crap. I got it, and I'm like, I'm in love. I love my dog. Don't fucking touch my dog. I will murder you.
How easy is it to get these dogs?
Not easy. It's easy to get through, like, the initial, like, you pick up the basic parts of it, the quest, but then you have to wait to,
Or let me guess, I could just go on right now and buy one, could I?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That part I'm actually okay with, as long as there's an alternate way of getting it. I play enough to where
it depends. It depends what the alternate way of getting it is, and if the alternate way feels like banging your head off a brick wall.
Well, don't play Warframe. Because you have to get these, like, eggs, and they're RNG based, of course, randomly dropped eggs that come out of this one place on Earth, and that can be a pain. I, for some reason, had something smile down on me, and I got an egg the very first run. That never really happens to me. So I was just like, yep, okay, I'm taking that, whatever. But since then, I've gotten maybe one other, and it's been, I do quite a lot of those farming runs. You have to be kind of okay with that type of, farming, grinding kind of gameplay. Otherwise, don't fucking play that game. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But once again, I think we were talking off record or off record, same thing, record, record, whatever, fuck you. Where how people approach games, how they mentally think about games, what's achieved and all that, that really can make or break a game and the community. And there's only so much developers can do to retain that community. But the community itself, do you think that the community in general for games, like you were talking about how Destiny was a letdown. What was a recent game that really fulfilled a lot of people's, ideas of what it should have been?
Oh God, you know what? I think we should wrap this up and have that for number 2, and just keep that on file.
Yeah.
And do it.
Okay.
Right. So, think of some way of wrapping this up.
Alrighty. I've got none. So to close up, there's a question I had in mind, which is, looking at all the issues that we have with games, Destiny, what's another big game that's come out? What is a game, and this is a question to all the viewers, all 5 of you, what is the game that, and half of those are MuddledMuppet's viewers anyways, what is the game that has come out recently that has actually fulfilled the majority of people's expectations? Or have most of the big titles, Destiny, of course, in the beta and whatever. I'm picking on that one a lot because it's the big dog right now, I think. What about Watch Dogs, speaking of, that was another one that was just touted as, like, it's going to be amazing. Then you have, like, Titanfall, of course. It's going to change gameplay of, multiplayer fights and whatnot. What is a recent game, can you guys think of, that actually, across the board, satisfied people? Not in a sexual way, but maybe. I don't know what you guys do on your own time. But put that in the comments. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually follow up that question on Muddled Muppet's channel and see what we can come up with. yeah. So thanks for watching if you did.
Can I get a chance to say bye?
No, you can't.
No? Okay. Bye! I sneaked it in.
Nice. Yeah, I'll keep it in. All right. We're good.
We're good, right? I desperately need to get some fresh air here.